quartz today. There's not many notes left to do, but I do have 9 pictures I want to show you of other varieties. For a little bit of note-taking, bookkeeping, let's do something here. Amethyst, this should be a 1. And this should be a 2. And this should be a 3 in your notes. So that here we can go down to B and talk about another color of a crystalline variety, which is citrine. This is one of the finest yellow gemstones that's out there. We're not going to talk about it long. It ends up being quartz that is yellow to brown. But I did tell you we were doing a lot of pictures, and we're going to because I just ravaged Wikipedia for their images of things. And here we have 2 crystals of citrine grown together, and you can see the nice yellow color. Most of it is actually heat-treated amethyst, right? That's why we actually mentioned citrine yesterday. The color comes from trace amounts of iron. Trace iron in the lattice is what gives it the yellow-brown color, and it's rather rare in nature to have this yellow color. Rare in nature. So if you do buy citrine, know that it's likely heat-treated amethyst, which actually makes it kind of an interesting story. You never would heat treat the really high-end amethyst. So what it is, we'll just put it here. We'll say heat-treated, lower quality amethyst. Quality amethyst. Next up on the gemstone tour of quartz, we're going to talk about what happens if a gemstone what am I trying to say here? What if we made a gemstone that has both yellow and purple? Well, we can do that. It's called Ametrine, named after part citrine, part amethyst. And with some special heating conditions, you can get this bicolor yellow and purple. So we call this a bicolor crystal. Do I need to write it down? Because you can see it right there, right? Yellow and purple. It's very rare in nature, rarer than citrine. And there was a story that in the 1600s, it was discovered for the first time in nature by a conquistador and his party in the 1600s in Bolivia. But then the location of that mine was lost for all of time. But then rediscovered in Bolivia in the 1970s, where it became a very popular stone. Bolivia in the 1970s. It makes me wonder what other myths that we talk about as being, like the conquistadors used to have it, or the 7 cities of Cibola that are no longer found, but they will be someday. The way we get most of our ametrine on the market is from heat-treating amethyst, where you have a gradient across the stone. Where this side, you take amethyst here, this side of the stone you'd keep cold, right? Because it all used to be purple, but then we heat this side, and we can actually get that purple color to change to yellow. So we'll say most is heat treated. Most is heat treated so that the yellow gets heated and oxidized, while the purple end, we'll say heat treated amethyst with a gradient. And with that, I think you've learned everything you need to know about Ametrine. Some other stones we're going to talk about. Oh, let's see, what is this next? This is D. So D is going to be rose quartz. E is going to be smoky quartz. We're not going to do much here besides just put in some Wikipedia images. That's too big of a picture. Let's shrink that down. There's our rose quartz, smoky quartz. Shrink that down a little bit too. What do we want to say about these things? Well, they tend to not be worth as much money, but it's because they have some problems. Our smoky quartz, well, it's this brown color that forms from natural irradiation. Usually it's, well, we could say, how about this? Let's actually put this down. We have some natural radiation. Changes the color from trace aluminum, causes color change with trace aluminum in the lattice. Now, rose quartz, this is probably colored by manganese, trace manganese. And one of the problems with rose quartz is that it's often not perfectly clear. It tends to be cloudy. And we can even see that this crystal here is fairly cloudy. And the reason for that is it's due to a lot of fractures. So cloudy, many fractures. But these can be very popular because this is such a nice color of pink. Smoky quartz is popular just because it's so prevalent in huge crystals. It's one of the, if you're going crystal hunting, smoky quartz is one of the ones that you'd be most likely to find. Now let's move on from crystalline to microcrystalline quartz. There's just one variety of microcrystalline quartz I want to talk about. These are ones that are chatoyant. Chatoyant. Now we don't want to confuse that word with chalcedony, right, which both start with a CH. Chatoyant is a way that the crystal inclusions within the quartz reflect light, and that produces the varieties of cat's eye and tiger's eye. Right, chatoyancy is that spool of thread, right, where crystal inclusions line up to reflect the light. So cat's eye ends up being a yellowish color. And there are aligned acicular crystals that form a single ray. That's the story with cat's eye, just like cat's eye chrysoberyl, which maybe you've learned about. So we have acicular crystals are aligned and produce a single ray of light. And let's just say this, of reflected light. What would it look like? Well, there'd be like a cabochon that's rounded, and then we get this kind of single ray that reflects light back to our eyes. That's our cat's eye. Well, tiger's eye looks a lot different. Tiger's eye is this bands of material, and I actually have a good picture here of tiger's eye. It almost looks like petrified wood, right? And the reason, and that's actually fairly important, is both the brown to golden color and that there are these bands that form. And we'll put some of this down. Let's say bands of golden yellow to brown that produce this chatoyant, right? Both of them are chatoyant, so we don't need to write it down, that are from fibrous aligned crystal inclusions. Neither of these are worth very much money. They're very cheap, and they're just nice things that'll go with some outfit that you have. Now, to finish up, we need to talk about all the different varieties of cryptocrystalline quartz. There's not a lot to say about these, because as they're cryptocrystalline means we can't actually see the crystals unless we have a microscope. Cryptocrystalline varieties. But these are things that many people have heard of because maybe it's something you can actually find when you're a kid and you have a rock collection. You want to put it inside your rock tumbler to get a cool polished stone. All of the cryptocrystalline varieties are called chalcedony. That's the catch-all term. So if you don't know which one it is and you call it chalcedony, you're safe. They all have a waxy luster, and they all are semi-transparent to opaque. These are things that they all share in common. Semi-transparent. So they're never going to be really facet grade, but they're the grade to make cabochons and make kind of just polished slabs. That's what you do with the cryptocrystalline variety. So we can put that down. We can say that we make cabs, short for cabochons, or polished slabs. Now, it comes in an array of colors and variety, which is why we have these different types that we're going to go through right now. The most common type to find, and probably the most famous, is called agate. Agate. And what agate is that separates it from the others is it is irregularly banded. Man, I'm really figuring out this handwriting sometimes. Irregularly banded cryptocrystalline quartz might look like this. It's a big, let's shrink it down a little bit. And you can see these beautiful colors. Agate can come in any color of the rainbow, but when it has bands, they tend to be kind of rounded and all over the place. Here's some flatter bands, here's some bigger bands. You can almost see the botryoidal crystal structure that this had as it was growing, right? Because that's how most of the chalcedony does grow. The bands, we could say this. Let's say some stuff about the bands. The bands, we've already said that they're irregular. Well, they can vary in color and transparency. Maybe we can see some of that here. And the reason why they are curved is because they tend to form inside of cavities within volcanic rocks. So let's say tends to form in cavities in volcanic rocks. Basically, those cavities were big bubble spaces in the lavas, and then they fill with a hydrothermal fluid later that was rich in silica that then precipitates out the quartz. If they do have hollow centers, then they're called geodes. So these are related to geodes if it has a hollowed center. In fact, you could say that it's actually called a geode if it has a hollow center. There's a lot of different names for different types of agate. We're not going to get into those today, but you could call them fire agate or iris agate or moss agate or lace agate, just different descriptions of the irregular banding. Now, there's another type of cryptocrystalline quartz, chalcedony, that can be banded, but if it has very striped, regular, let's see, actually, let's go like this. Let's put the type down first. It's called Onyx. What a weird word to spell. Have that for your, what's that game where you try to play words? Scrabble. Onyx, it has banded, let's call this, let's just say this, parallel stripes. That's what onyx looks like, and it tends to be black and white. Let's go ahead and actually put in that colorway here. Black and white colors. Gray is okay as well. That's what onyx looks like. Now, if you find cryptocrystalline quartz that's not banded and it's just kind of any solid color, mostly solid, it's called jasper. So this is for things that we usually think about jasper when it's red, but it doesn't have to be. It can be brown jasper. You can have yellow jasper. You can even have black. Okay, it's kind of a catch-all term. If it is, how do you go from A, B, C, F? Focus. Maybe that's what I was looking for. F for focus. If it is orange to brown, you could probably call it jasper and get away with it, but technically you should call it carnelian if it's orange. In fact, why don't we do this? Carnelian is orange. Brown, one of the ugliest words of the semester, sard. I've never really even heard that word before. I bet sard is not very popular. Oh, let's put in a picture of jasper since I have one. Let's put it over here. There's how you can see how jasper could have some value. It kind of looks like a rock, but since the red color is so striking, it has some value. Now we're almost done here. There's only two left. E, this is when it's green in color. So when we have a nice, beautiful green cryptocrystalline rock, it's called chrysoprase. And this is one of the most valued because it looks like jade. So let's just put a $sign here. It's not like super expensive, but we're going to say it has worth some money because it resembles jade. I have a picture of this one as well. That's a nice shot of raw, rough chrysoprase, where the jewelry would be made from this area right in here. And that takes us to our last topic for quartz, or our last stone. And what if it is blue? Blue is a very rare color for any type of quartz. And you know what we call it when it's blue? We just call it chalcedony, which is, of course, the catch-all for everything. I don't know why. That's just the way it is. See you next time.